A man must create his value. A woman must protect hers.
Your body count over 30?
No comment. I'm a man of God.
Madison?
No comment.
Wait, say it.
She's
Come on,
not
Madison, you've already revealed it. You revealed it.
I don't really know. Do I want to get into this right now?
Just for a second.
No,
Go.
I need to
What
get
is
my
it?
daughter's
Yeah.
food. Now we're having a come to Jesus.
What is it?
8.
8?
Are you disappointed in your daughter?
Sweetheart, just
She's gonna get
She's
spelled.
starting out.
There's like a whole backstory. I can get into it, but
Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. I reference this at the start because those who are led purely by the limbic system will not find him. God is found in the gathering of consciousness. Satan is in the dispelling or the dissipating of it. And that's what the limbic system is animal impulses. It is carnality. It is reactivity. It is being led by your member and not by your Christ. And I do mean this in every other sense, not just the Christian Judeo concepts. Those who have made pleasure their gods are on a downward spiral into an emotional kind of hell. Lust is an emotional hell. It is lower than courage, which is neutrality, which is the turning point into joy, into willingness, into love, into supreme God consciousness. And you can see the pain in her father's eyes there because there is a lack of congruence with her in the family's faith. But deeper still are the values and virtues behind that faith, with what that faith represents. Can't help but thinking of Galatians here. But I say, walk by the Spirit, and thou will not gratify the desires of the flesh. There is a really remarkable continuity in 12-step programs, like if you're addicted to alcohol or anything like that. And the first step towards salvation is typically an understanding, or a better word would be an acknowledgement of higher power. You have to prostrate yourself. You have to submit and acknowledge that higher power, because an individual cannot transcend their own pleasure if it is presently their North Star. Their North Star has to be something beyond that. And that might be an acknowledgement, or is an acknowledgement, or some kind of deity, whatever it means to you.
Hi, welcome to Skylar's 2023 dating route. I had a busy year, so buckle up. This year I kissed 13 boys, personal record. Out of those 13, made it to first base with 5, second base with 1, skipping over that last one.
I just had to quickly familiarize myself with what the bases meant. So first base is kissing and making out. Second base is touching above the waist. Third base is stimulating anywhere below the waist. And fourth base, or home base, is having full-blown sexual intercourse. So 7 individuals in a year, full-blown sexual intercourse. And notice the verbiage here. Notice the language she's using, skipping over that part. If you listen very carefully to people, what kind of slips out sometime is their soul, like behind the strangulation of their ego and their humanness, tries to peek through and call for help. Skipping over that last part was only said because behind that, her soul is being throttled, is being strangled, because shame is the lowest emotion a human being can feel. And the body doesn't lie. The body is not lying in that respect. And it's necessary for that individual to feel that in order to correct behavior. And by the way, just very, very quickly here, I don't believe promiscuity is good for either of the sexes. I know there can be, and there are arguments around, the difference between men and women in that regard. And I'm sure there are good arguments made on, both parts. But, I'm not here to argue that particular point because I personally am not informed enough on that yet. But what I do know is having pleasure, your North Star, your God, is not good for anybody. And masculinity is God-fearing, God service. Masculinity is about placing ourselves in service of something that transcends our humanness, and it's more congruent in spirit and soul. And I believe femininity then follows masculinity as a as a consequence of prostrating oneself before God. And that's what's really interesting to me when you hear women who really reject this idea of traditional masculinity, of leadership, because they feel it's all warped in ego and control of men. It's not, because the ego doesn't belong to us. We're giving it to God. That's what I believe masculinity is about. It's about transcending even the concept of masculinity and uniting, with your divine, with the morals and virtues and values that transcend man, because man is, fallible by very nature. Going back to the point here about her being, embarrassed by her behavior, that tells you where the work needs to be done. There's something that I say all the time, which is, the answers to your questions are found in the places that you don't want to look. They're difficult to confront. The analogy I give is, when you've been throwing your clothes to the back of your closet and finally now it's time to clean out your closet. There's dirty clothes back there. It's got all cobwebs. It's not a pleasant experience to go and confront that mess, but the emotions that you're feeling, the shame, the apathy, the lethargy, they are your body communicating with you, trying to speak to you and saying, hey, something's wrong here, something's rotting, and we need to throw it out. We need to deal with it. Otherwise, it's going to get smellier, it's going to get worse, and it's going to affect every single area of your life. So I'm giving you this shame to deal with this problem now so that we can be liberated from it and move in a more positive direction. You have to confront, that dragon in a more Joseph Campbell Jungian archetypal lens. You have to face your demons. You have to fight the demons. We should not be glorifying it. And what she's doing, I think, is actually tremendously dangerous and encouraging, more behavior. She's not happy, is she?
Where did I meet them? 6 of them I did meet in college, 3 of them I met on Hinge, and 4 of them I met just out and about, side questing, Statistics. I did date one of them. I had a situationship with one of them. I was under the influence for 9, and there were 3 repeat offenders this year. Not bad. Top 3. I wanted to make a pyramid, but I didn't know how to do that, so here you go. All right, starting off with boy number 2.
Just a quick little nod for me in terms of environment. I always get into trouble for saying this, but you're not going to meet a high quality woman in environments where promiscuity is the context. So there's your pubs, your clubs, your bars, where the whole premise of these places is to lower inhibitions via alcohol to facilitate poor decision making. It's what I said at the start. God is in the gathering of consciousness. What does alcohol do? It diminishes consciousness. It scatters consciousness. It divides consciousness. How are you going to make a very informed decision if your consciousness is scattered and your inhibitions lowered? It makes you impulsive. And by the way, we haven't even reached some of the most mentally warped, delusional, sub 3-digit IQ comments towards the end of this video. You're gonna have to hear this.
Super hot, super funny. We played house and it was really cute, made me feel really special. He let me talk and I clearly never shut up, so that was really nice. And it did piss my ex off, which is always a fun little bonus. Okay, boy number 4. This kid was so in love with me. That felt really good. My mom did like him, which is pretty rare. And he did make me feel like the only girl in the world. Unfortunately, I like a little bit of spice, I like a little bit of fun, and that was just missing, so that did not last. And then boy number 10, hot, French accent. Need I say more? No. Ooh, bottom 3, starting off strong with boy number 1. He was mean to me. He did get me arrested. Yeah, he did do that. That's a story for another time. He did have Tinder pretty much our entire relationship and did actively ask people to hang out. And the worst part, no closure. And when you're in a long-term relationship with someone, that's pretty hard, but never gonna get it, so taking the L and moving on. Boy number 6 would not stop talking about himself and he was not interesting, so walking ick, very sassy, and I do work with him, so that's really awkward. Poor decision making on my end. And then we have boy number 8. I did have to walk home alone at 3 in the morning. He lived in a trap house, and I found out after the fact that he had a girlfriend, so what a fucking loser. Positives though, I did get over my crippling fear of kissing. If you know me, this is major. I got some funny pictures and videos out of it. Hopefully they never see the light of day. And I learned some valuable lessons, which is pretty important. Negatives, ooh, I kissed some people I shouldn't have. Vodka Red Bulls will do that to you. I did spend a lot of money Ubering home in the mornings, which in my opinion is a man's job. I do regret most of them. Yes, I do. And I did get my heart broken, unfortunately. Shout out to boy number 1. But takeaways, final thoughts from this year. Men are bad for the soul. Period. All men cheat. If you disagree with me, you are lying to yourself. This one's actually really important. The actions of others are not a reflection of you. Shitty people are shitty people, period. They're gonna treat you like shit. And finally, drunk kisses don't count. So, had a great 2023. Hopefully 2024 brings a boyfriend, but if not, more kisses.
I mean, let's break this first one down. Men are bad for the soul. No, you're bad for your own soul. You're talking about true, divine, righteous, generative men who have faith, who prostrate themselves towards something that is higher than themselves. They're supposed to be a conduit. So it's kind of like God bleeds down into them, and as a consequence of that bleeding into, he then funnels into the rest of his family, including his partner. So boys will be bad for your soul. And by the large list that you read off there, it seems like you've been interacting fundamentally only with boys. But if you find men will rejuvenate your soul. They will make your soul swell, and you'll become closer to God and family. But you guys know this. You can already tell the character temperament here. She hasn't evolved past kind of girl psychology. Second point about being, all men cheat. Boys maybe cheat. Men. My definition for a man is a man recognizes that there is something greater than his own pleasure, and those things will typically be faith and family. 2 F's for me. But that concept is juvenile in its essence. Drunk kisses don't count. Well, if you put yourself in an environment where you are liable to have poor decision making, you have to take accountability for that. And of course, most of that video was a whole love letter to a lack of accountability throughout the year, and encouraging bad behavior, or I think a better way is trying to make herself feel good about her bad behavior, and indirectly encouraging women to similarly do more poor behavior, as making them fundamentally unhappy. Where does this stem from? In my fundamental opinion is lack of leadership. I do think men, if we are going to reprise this role of being leaders, then most of us have to lead women towards better ideals than this, and we can do that by fundamentally following the values and virtues that are consistent in our faith. And if you subscribe to that, you can subscribe to me. These are not theories, these are facts. Speak soon.